In 1985, then-Queensland Premier Sir Joh Bjelke-Petersen fiercely opposed the federal government's decision to hand over Ayers Rock, now called Uluru, to an Aboriginal corporation. He called it a hoax, a land grab and a political stunt. But what was the real outcome of this transfer? Before this, all Australians, Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal alike, could climb the rock, drive around it and experience it freely. But today, no one can. Access is restricted, and the land is no longer truly in the hands of the people. So, was this really about returning the land? Or was it just another shift of control under a corporate structure? To understand what was happening at the time, let's take a look at the official statement made by Sir Joh Bjelke-Petersen on September 20th, 1985. The Premier and Treasurer, Sir Joh Bjelke-Petersen, called on the Commonwealth Government to drop plans to give inalienable freehold title over Ayers Rock Mount Olga National Park to a recently formed self-identified Aboriginal organisation. The Commonwealth Government is compounding its bungle by insisting on giving a national property to a collection of squatters who have no claim to the land other than the blessing of Labour's left, Sir Joh said. Labour is caught up in its own land rights web and is trying to bluff its way through, he said. The Premier was commenting on Federal Aboriginal Affairs Minister Clyde Holding's September 2nd statement, which said Governor-General Sir Ninian Stephen would present title of the Uluru National Park to the traditional owners on October 26th. Sir Joh said Mr Holding was deliberately involving the Office of Governor-General in a crude political hoax, which already had spread egg all over the minister's face. He said the federal claim that Ayers Rock was being handed back to the traditional owners was just another farce to swell the long list of federal government blunders. The Premier said recent research indicated that the Mutit Jula Community Incorporated was formed and registered some years after the Northern Territory Land Commissioner had rejected original claims to Ayers Rock National Park in 1979. This new body has since claimed Ayers Rock, and the only road open to federal Labour was to legislate around the NT ruling. This is a blatant attempt to steal the rock from the NT to hand it over to the federal government's ring-ins. There is no evidence to support the Mutit Jula community's claim that they represent the traditional owners of the region. Indeed, there is a wealth of evidence to prove they do not. Recent evidence indicates the real owners of the rock now live in widely scattered groups in South Australia. Sir Joh accused the Commonwealth of brushing aside historical evidence to favour its friends. He said the traditional ownership nonsense of the federal government was now a national scandal. Ayers Rock has simply brought the hoax to a head, he said. Sir Joh said the entire mess had been whipped up by Canberra, and Labour would now have to answer to the Australian voters. The Premier said the issue must end up in the High Court if the Commonwealth persisted with its nonsense. Federal Labour has done a disservice to the Governor-General by involving him in what is a blatant political exercise based on bad law. The Governor-General would be well advised to distance his office from this hoax of the century, Sir Joh said. There you have it. That was a media release from the Premier of Queensland in 1985. Now here's the reality. Since 1985, Ayers Rock hasn't been given back to the people. It's been locked away. No Australians, including Aboriginal Australians, are allowed to climb it or even drive around it, despite generations of shared history with the land. What happened wasn't about restoring rights. It was about transferring control from one governing body to another. And today we see the same corporate-style governance in every aspect of our nation. So what do you think? Should Australians have the right to access their own land? Let me know in the comments, share this video, and let's start a real conversation about who truly owns Australia. And if you want to see more videos that uncover the truth, then be sure to subscribe and stay tuned. There's plenty more to come.